We're going to be talking a little bit about how it is that you can make the right choices in life. Leonard, I'll let you introduce yourself since this is your first time here on, on Daybreak.
Yes, it is. And first of all, I must appreciate for having me here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And Leonard is a married man. And
I like that that's the first thing just out of your mouth, just in case.
Yeah, just in case, and also I appreciate the support I get from my family. So that's why I'm also a pastor by the grace of God, and I'm heavily involved with the lives of a lot of young people.
Yeah.
So that's what, I used to be a musician before, just like
Really?
you. Yeah, sure.
No, not just like, no, don't lie to people. No. So you were an artist?
Yeah, I used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
A rapper, a singer?
A rapper, a singer.
What?
Yeah.
All of it?
We used to do gospel music, which I still do, but not as I used to do back then because of the pastoral duties now. Yeah, so time is a little bit limited.
Yeah. So this morning we're going to be talking a little bit about what it's like to make the right choices, and maybe a place that we can begin from is what are the signs that you're making the wrong choices in life? How does that show up in your life?
Yeah. I think one of the things we first of all need to understand is that the quality of life we live is dependent on the choices we make. And every day life presents us with different choices, different options. And for you to understand which kind of choice you're making, then you must put it against the goal that you're trying to, the target that you have in life. If anything that you're going to choose in this life that is not geared towards your target or towards your focus on what you want to achieve, then definitely that's derailing you and it's taking you on a detour. And that's going to take you a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of circling around before you find your path again. So those are just simple indicators. If any choice you're going to make that does not advance you, doesn't add value to you, or it just came out of maybe an emotional happening, probably something happened to you, you had a disagreement with someone and you just decide, because of this, I'm leaving my job. Then those are choices that do not really, you can clearly tell. And the funny thing is, anytime you're making a choice, whether the right or the wrong choice, there is a place in your heart that you'll always know, this one, I did it either out of emotions, out of anger, or the heat of the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. When you talk about choices, there might be someone watching thinking that life happens to them.
Yeah.
Like I don't get to decide all these terrible things that have happened to me. So how do you explain that part?
Well, I know, you know, the other thing is that in life, life owes you nothing. And life will throw different things at you. Challenges must be there every day. Irrespective of the field you are in, we encounter challenges every day. But you can't control it. But you can control the effect of those challenges.
Your reaction to
your reaction to them, exactly. So that, if you have that kind of mentality where you say, I don't have anything, that it simply means you accept the fate. You accept whatever life has dealt to you, which is not a very good mentality and a very good mindset when you're approaching life. We must always rise above the barriers and the challenges to be able to focus on the goal and what we need to achieve. Yeah. So sitting there is, first of all, that's a very big sign of giving up.
Yeah,
You're
that's
simply saying,
a choice in itself,
yeah,
right?
I'm done, and that's a choice in itself. Yes.
You know, there are people who make mistakes, and sort of mistakes become a way of life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you say, okay, I'm human, you know, this happened, but one mistake after the other, you know, and it's becoming a pattern.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate between a mistake and a pattern of wrong choice?
Yeah, that one I can differentiate by saying, if you made a mistake here, what did you learn at that level? What were the lessons? And you need to reevaluate yourself every time in life and ask yourself some very hard and personal questions like, what brought me to this point where I am at? Then if that is how you approach it, then it's okay to make mistakes, because that means you will not make the same mistake on the same level. But if you keep making the same mistake on the same level, then something is totally out of place. Totally out of place. So that's the difference. You have to, It's okay. Let's say a kid in class 4, if they make a mistake in class 4, and then they make the same mistake in class 8, then that is stunted growth.
Yeah.
It is more of they have embraced it within themselves that this is somehow a way of life,
yeah.
which is very wrong. But if you make a mistake in class 5, and then you make another one in class 6, but these mistakes, both of them are mistakes, but on different platforms, different levels, then that's allowed. That's allowed, because actually mistake is also part of our growth. Yeah, if you really want to grow, don't be afraid of making mistakes, but be afraid of making the same mistake
on
every
the same
now
level.
and then. Yeah.
A lot of people don't really take to introspection and sitting down with themselves and saying, you know, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? They're just people who just decide to avoid that whole thing altogether, and let's just keep the bus rolling.
Pick life. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it that you would advise somebody to get comfortable with that idea of taking, you know, stock on what's actually happening in their life?
Yeah. You have to. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. If anything is going to grow in your life, then there must be deliberate commitment to that growth. Things don't just happen. If it's something you're building, be it in your career, be it in your character, then there must be a consistent, committed pathway to it, that you're given to it. So there's no way you can, because if you don't, today we are in a world that is, you know, fast world. Everything is running too fast. People are trying to catch up with jobs, family, whatever. You need to buy that house, you need to mortgage that house, and literally you don't have time for yourself. But it is important to sit down and look at how far you've come, where you are, and what's the distance between where you are and where your goal is at. If you don't take stock, then sooner or later, life is going to drive you around. Yeah. But you need to take charge of life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Drive the bus, don't let the bus drive you.
Don't let the bus drive you.
Yeah. You talked about your passion for youth and young people. What do you think are some of the biggest obstacles that are holding young people in Kenya back?
There are so many, but just to mention a few of them, one of them is we have a majority of our young people, we are very poor when it comes to decision making. Why do I say this? I say this in regards to the fact that we make choices for today. We don't look at 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And you know, there are some choices we're going to make today that will affect the rest of our 20 years to come. Simple one is on investments. You know, a lot of guys, they get jobs. I'm not saying buying a car is not bad. It's really good, but I don't really see why you should get a car that's worth probably $1 million. And at your 30s or 35 there, and you still have to invest for the future. So those are the things. We are very poor in decision making. And then also there's a huge influx of peer pressure, and you know, you want to be like Joy, you want to be like this, you want to do this. So in that kind of lifestyle, you end up living a fake lifestyle. Some of us end up in debts. You have to borrow to, you know, show. But you forget that at the end of the day, none of these guys are concerned with your life.
As much as they like it on social media.
Exactly.
Doesn't really mean that they have their
And
invested.
also we don't have a defined target. Sit with a lot of young people, ask them, you know, what do you want to achieve in life? What's your purpose in this life? Who are you? Not because a lot of people I meet, you ask them, who are you? They tell you what they do. Now that's difference. There's a big difference between what you do and who you are. So unless you find yourself, then that's also another major setback for a lot of young people. The bus keeps driving them, just like we said earlier on. And it's a high time you know, who am I? What do I want to? If you're in the business circles, you know, who are you hanging out with? What are you getting out of that? You know, how are you improving yourself to become sellable in the market, to become valuable? Because if you don't improve yourself, then the system will automatically shake you off. Yeah.
Who do you think is responsible for pushing young people in sort of the right direction? Because obviously we all have different backgrounds, we were raised with different value systems, and so the way we act is a result of that. For someone who might have not had such a strong, you know, upbringing or foundation, who then is responsible there?
When we look at that again, it brings a whole lot of debate. Because, and that's something else, it's not how well you complain that you change your situation.
That's powerful. Yeah.
It's where am I? When that awareness dawns on you and you understand this is who I am, and there are some things you can't correct. For example, you can't correct the family you are brought up in. You can't correct the locality you are brought up in. But hey, there's something you can do. You can change the present to affect your future, to make your future better. So this is what I'll say. Even though there are contributions from different quarters, I totally believe that the sole responsibility of any youth is in their own hands. So we have to take charge. Let's stop the blame game. The little that they gave you, what are you doing with it? Before you start complaining, oh, you know, I didn't go to college. But thank God your parents took you up to Form 4.
Yeah.
After that, the little English you can speak, what are you doing with it? You must improve it to make it commercially viable for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and get other, be able to get other trainings, different trainings. You know, there are different places you can go and volunteer and stuff like that. So I don't believe in having a pity party. Believe in rising up against the challenges and saying, this is where I came from.
Yeah.
This is who I am, and that is where I'm going. Yeah, so we can't start pointing fingers, because I know a lot of people say, oh, the government. But what are you doing? Yes, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing with yourself? Because even opportunity will never ever come to anyone that's seated somewhere just waiting. Even job openings will come to someone who's hanging out, you know, and someone will say, ah, there's a job opening at my place. Do you mind, you know? But you can't just stay at home and...
Yeah, and some people do kind of do that and resolve to, this is my fate. Having made this many mistakes, I'm at a point of no return. So let me just adjust to, you know, mediocrity. Yeah, and I think that's a very dangerous place to be.
Very dangerous, very dangerous. Because once you accept mediocrity to enter into you, the next thing you will settle for whatever life gives you. And in life, the sooner you settle, the smaller you settle.
Oh, okay, say that again. That's a word. That's a word.
The sooner you settle, the smaller you settle.
Wow.
Yeah. So that means even though you are at your best or at your lowest, never ever settle for that. There's always a bigger platform awaiting for you.
Wow.
And you know, it's always very hard to, it takes a lot of force to push through than to come down. Force of gravity will do that for you. You will come down by no pressure. But going up, you have to gather yourself together, gather some courage, and rise up. And this is also another advantage the youth have. Two assets that any youth has is time and energy. Yeah, time and energy. Those are the two biggest assets. If you don't have anything, if you don't have a plot in Kamulu, then you have energy and what?
Time.
And time. Yeah. So that energy should be used to push through rather than to settle and say, oh, because the risk that you can take as a young person are too many compared to our older folks. Yeah. You can do bungee diving now. You know, my dad wouldn't do that. You know? Yeah.
You know, talking about the youth and applying themselves, you know, Africa is made up largely of youth. A huge population of this continent is young people, and they are the future. But, you know, we live also in an environment where you look around and you see corruption everywhere. You're seeing business people, politicians who've made it through being corrupt, and you know, a lot of young people tend to think, well, why should I work hard when I can just take this route instead, and then look at the success stories. How do you talk that person out of that mentality? Is
the first thing I would tell that person is, your life will never change until your mentality changes. And when it comes to matters destiny, or rather, if you have a target in life, if you have a purpose in life, then shortcut can be the longest cut you can ever take in life. You can ever take in life. So it also relates with who are you drawing inspiration from. Apart from the corrupt officials, there are also people that have built themselves up over the time. Over the time. So those are the people I should align myself to and look at their lifestyles and see, this guy started this way and this is where he's at. Because that one is going to give you positive energy. But if you follow this corrupt leader who just, you know, was put as a chairman in a board or somewhere and they just had an access to all these millions of shillings, then what that does to you, it also inspires you. And what you do is you're looking for an opportunity that if you're put in a place of work, that's the first thing you're going to do. And the truth is, you might not last long. Actually, you will not last long. So just commit to the process. Because again, taking shortcut is a way of saying, I'm lazy. I'm lazy. And there's joy, there's nothing as good as enjoying something that you've paid the price for.
Oh, tell me about it, yes.
There's that fulfillment, you know. Like, people are knocking at your door, you don't have to worry. It's not EACC.
You're not just,
no.
you know, looking around trying to figure out who caught me this time.
Anytime you're driving, you know, if you see a car following you for this number of minutes, you're like, someone is on my neck. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
So definitely a life that you don't want to live.
Exactly.
Just as we wind up here, I want you to talk a little bit about the influence of intuition in all of this. Because again, it's a choice. Like you're saying, we choose who our mentors are, who we look up to.
Yeah.
So just in making that choice, how important is our intuitive nature as humans?
It's very important. It's very, very important. You need to listen to your inner self. Apparently, most of us, we tend to listen to either what our friends want or something like that, or even what the trend is saying currently, the trend is saying. But I think it's important. That's why we go back to the same point that you talked about. We need to sit and listen to ourselves. You just need to sit and listen to yourself and reevaluate yourself. Then that way, you're able to make a clear roadmap for your life.
Yeah.
Don't just go by, you know, sometimes you want to buy something and your friends will be like, this one will be cool. But that one will be cool according to their choice, not according to you. There's a reason why you need this particular car and not this one. There's a reason why you need this and not this. And all these things should be put together in alignment to your purpose or focus or your target, that which you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have some time by yourself, follow your heart, listen to yourself deeply, and be able to evaluate the different choices surrounding it to make the right one. Right. And never be in a hurry to make a choice.
Yeah, take your time. Think it out.
Take time. You know, one of the things I've come to learn, and I've learned it the hard way, is most of the time when you're making a critical decision, take at least 2 days. Yeah, just think about it. Don't go for those deals when someone tells you, if you don't buy this phone today,
it won't be there.
It won't be there. And then you do all sorts of things. You borrow to do that. No, take your time. Tell them, if you will sell it by tomorrow, it's okay. Yeah. I'll find another one. But take your time. Just think through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sadly, our time is up, Lena. Do you want to share social media handles or anywhere that people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, people can get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook, Leonard OA. I'm also on Twitter, Masterplan 1, and Instagram, Masterplan 1. Yeah, you can always get me there. We can interact.